I wanted to do a follow-up post about, my previous post about men being aggressive to other men. And this commenter here says, it sounds like a construction job site. Hi, my name is Dr. Natalie Jones. I'm a licensed therapist. And I wanted to respond to this one in particular because, growing up with family members, pretty much all the men in my family were involved in construction, different aspects, from masonry on to, construction, demolition, all that kind of stuff. I wanted to say that I agree with you. Men who are on construction job sites are very emotional. They can struggle with impulse control and addiction. And if you know anything about construction, a lot of times people who are, construction places are usually very felon friendly. So a lot of people who go into construction usually already have a record or have been a felon because that's one of the places where they can get a job and make a decent amount of money. But construction sites, they can make they can make a black ink. Black ink. If you guys have watched that, they can make that look like child's play. But anything where people can show up drunk or high to work, get into a fight, gamble, want to assert dominance, be very egotistical and impulsive, and ruin $1 million equipment and things like that. And a lot of times, you have to mediate all of those male personalities. And again, I go back to what I say to people are trying to assert their dominance and climb to the top and be underhanded. So they may even sabotage other workers on the site. The other thing, like I said, in prison, there can be this sort of gladiator style where everyone's sort of watching. Again, it's very similar on the job site, and where I personally have seen this, where you may have a lot of men of color, or just men in general on the job site, and random white dudes will show up and they will watch. They will sit in their car or they'll stand outside and they'll watch what these guys are doing all day, and they're just very, very engrossed in, just watching other men do what they do. Any job site, I don't care if it's like building homes, I don't care if it's like paving roads, whatever it is, there's usually going to be some dramatics. So don't ever let a man tell you that they don't like soap operas, because let's just be very clear. Even on those blue collar jobs, they can get it cracking, and there's usually almost always some sort of saga going on. It wouldn't even. It's usually just among the other men. That's usually more than enough, and they will carry it over and bring that stuff home, to you all. But also, it's not uncommon for a woman to show up at the job site either and turn up and turn out, over various things. You didn't come home last night. I need money and you didn't give me any, or there's some other female, or you've got something going on with the woman in the office, type of stuff. So there's almost always some sort of saga going on, from shooting dice, gambling, men showing bravado. I can fight you. Don't talk to me. That kind of stuff. They've got an axe to grind with each other, and they usually want to claw at the top. And they can even get into it with the business owner, saying, this is my company. Workers can get into it and saying, this is my company. I know how to do this. I know how to do that. And so where, just that ego can really get in the way. And there's a lot of supervision that is needed, with men in construction and even other blue collar jobs as well, because there can be, it could just be an explosion, a rupture in those relationships. I don't like you. I don't like you. What you going to do about it? And there's men out there, they're dealing with heavy equipment. They're dealing with, tools, heavy tools. So it's not uncommon for them to get down using their tools, and, all bets are off, after work. hanging out, drinking and gossiping and talking junk to each other and then, doing it all over again. But again, they're motivated to show that display of aggression and try to assert that dominance and get that power to show their strength. But usually it's quite the opposite that's happening. It's usually men that are very dramatic and that are willing to undercut each other and everybody else's safety to get a point across. And a lot of times they're not really thinking through. What could potentially happen. And so, construction sites, there's a lot going on there. Thanks so much for bringing that up.